talk about. And then you need to build references. And this became more and more important with the growth of social media and the world of influencers, basically. You need to befriend their idols and their trusted thought leaders. You need the right people who they trust to say, you know what, I've checked out that brand or that product, or I've traveled to this destination. It's pretty awesome. You know, like it was good, it was cool. And it's not a press kit. You don't send them a press kit and say, please say this and don't say this and mention it and start talking about it July 1st on 7 a.m. Like clients who expect social media to be dated, like you can't talk about it after this, or you know, we're going to tell you about it, but you talk about it when it launches, kill me. So this is an organic nature, and you will truly get magic when you respect the fact that if it's a good product and it's relevant to them, and you're offering something that is within a white space, that is a need that other competitors are not offering, they will love it. You don't need to induce it with viral Viagra pills, okay? It just happens, it's magic. If you're delivering on a need that your consumers need, and you've listened long enough to understand what that need is, everyone's going to talk about it. Everyone becomes an influencer. And that's the true magic of influence, not only 10 people. And then that's from a social practice, from a digital marketing practice, is influence. The reason this slide is funny is this is dating 101, gentlemen and ladies. Think about it, okay? West Lodge, Patrina, Spice Route, where is it these days? Where are the girls? Okay? Speak their language. Okay? Talk about something interesting for them. When you date someone on the first date, don't keep talking about yourself. And I've done this, I've traveled there, I've done this. Talk, understand them, study them. Know what they're interested in, what sort of activity, exercising, socializing, and so on. And then build references. Hey, I know Jen, I know you work with Jen, and she's a good friend, and whatever. So, like, it's a relationship. It's no longer a marketing practice, because if you think about it, IBM on their Twitter page, or whatever, all these big brands, or Dell, like giant brands on their Twitter page, they have a face of a person. Okay, social media has offered brands the opportunity to personify the relationship. It is a relationship. It is not a one-night stand where I push something your way and, you know, buy this product and do this and then I don't care. It is a relationship that requires working on, requires a lot of homework and investment in. So how do we build a relevant brand? We listen. And this is where the listening from a practice perspective comes. So again, there are 3 pillars when we think of listening, okay? We need to be able to define where is that conversation taking place, how is it taking place, is it on Instagram, is it on Pinterest? We need to move away from the tactical brief that we receive from clients saying, we want to do a Twitter campaign. Okay, do a Twitter campaign. Where did you come first for? So we need to be able to know where they are. Are they truly on Twitter? Are they having a conversation on Twitter? Are the right people on Twitter? Are they on Pinterest? Are they on Vimeo? Are they truly still watching 3-minute videos on YouTube? Or is it a 15-second video on Instagram? Or is it on a 5-second or a Snapchat or whatever? So where we need to be. And is it a global thing? Is social media global? Can we go local? Do we need to create a Canada version of this Twitter page for us to focus on this product? Or is it more of a global thing? Facebook? And then content. What do we need to talk about? What's relevant to them? And then that's from a proactive perspective. How can we show them we get the circles that surround our product from a thought leadership perspective, not only talk about the product itself. And reactively as well, okay, when they talk back to us, which they do a lot, okay, what's the proper policy and strategy? How do we respond to them? How do we answer them? What's the tone? What's the cadence? Do we answer all the questions? Who responds? So that's also an important part of any strategy. And then influencer strategy, okay? Who are the people who are shaping opinions the most about my brand? What's a watch list of advocates and detractors, okay? Why do they love or hate us? And then how can we amplify the positive and neutralize the negative? And through the collective of amplify positive, neutralize the negative, how can we activate the neutral? The other people who follow those people, who might have not paid attention to me, if they hear someone that they trust say, this is kick-ass, this is really good, okay, would they then pay attention? How can I activate them and engage them? And then obviously all the processes of FAQ and so on, and all the not so much fun stuff. So there's a process for listening as well. And it always starts with a questionnaire. So, and that's, by the way, a very important, rarely utilized part of the practice of listening that I've seen in many agencies. Because if we think of the art of listening, I'm going to jump to this quickly, there's an art to listening, really. You can do so many listening reports and learn nothing valuable, okay, and get no actionable insights that truly get you to appreciate the idea of being plugged to your consumer's mind. And many people do this, and this is why the magic of listening, everyone's like, it's a fad, it's for, you know what, we'll do a focus group, it's more focused. The art of listening is casting enough of a wide net and then deducting along the way to capture that nugget, that sort of piece of magic, of insight, a human truth that can truly drive a campaign or an idea that the second you release out there creates havoc. Because you built it on an actual human truth. And for you to cast a wide net, okay, the people who should manage this, and I worked with a few of you guys here on the listening, and I think it was a fun exercise, you truly have to think of one thing. When I do the listening report and go back to the client, am I telling them something new? Am I teaching them something new? Or am I just reaffirming or explaining something they already knew? If you're telling them something new, then you're on the right track. If you go and you say, your share of conversation is bigger than Starbucks' share of conversation, and people love you more, people like this flavor on this season, and PSL is the most sold coffee, you know, in December. So, you know, what can I take out of that? So, we built questionnaires for us to be able to dig up these key insights, okay, that have to do with, okay, your share of conversation is higher than your competition, about which topics? Okay, what are people talking about when they talk about your brand? Okay, and within these top 10 lists of things that people talk about when they mention your brand, is there misinformation? Okay, are these your top 10 things that you need to market this year? Are these the stories that you want your consumers to know about you? Okay, and then what's the sentiment about it? How much of it is negative, positive, neutral? Okay, in negative, what are the top 10 things that they hate about you? Okay, and are they appraising other competitors within these specific points versus you, or vice versa? Is there a white space that consumers have created between you and your competitors in terms of they do this well, you do this well, so what's left for you to try and jump into? What's the low-hanging fruit? And then where's that conversation taking place? Obviously the obvious, okay? Is there an opportunity on Instagram? Is it taking off? So just to give you an example of this thing, I worked on Nestle 3 years ago for one of their campaigns, which is the Halloween, okay? And we were briefed by the client that this year Halloween is going to be about peanut-free. Okay, that's a big story because Nestle Favorites was the first brand to have a full box of chocolates, the Nestle Favorites, which is Kit Kat, Smarties, Aero, and Coffee Crisp, which is peanut-free. They were the first brand to release a peanut-free box, and they were like the, you know, the drivers of the peanut-free message, which was really good 4 or 5 years ago. So we said, okay, but like, what's the message? What's like the emotional part? No, it's emotional. Parents will love it because, you know, we're all about their kids' safety and so on. So we listened to conversation about Halloween the year before and the year before. Okay, so we went back 2 years and we listened to conversation about Halloween. 2% of conversation about Halloween, including every conversation about chocolate, was about peanut-free. Very relevant, obviously. So we were like, we dug deeper. Most of the conversation about peanut-free is, we get it, it's done. Okay? And being parents, and through then we did the focus group of, you know, what do you think when you think peanut-free and Halloween? That's war has been fought. It's done. And it's not brands that won the war, it's schools that won the war. It's our kids who won the war. That war was fought in the past. Peanut allergy is evil. You shouldn't touch it with a 10-yard stick. I remember I once did a Nutella sandwich for my son without thinking and put it in his bag. And he gave me the talk down of my life when he came back home. Like, are you crazy? Like, trying to kill someone? So my kids have become the final frontier of peanut war, peanut allergy war, and their school is what planted it in them. Okay? So, like, this is done. People will not march behind the brand for peanut peanut-free chocolate anymore. Not only that, all other brands of chocolate have followed your suit. 5 years ago, you were the only one. So anyway, so that wasn't a very easy conversation to have, but basically what we told them is, we don't think that this is a marching call. This is not something that people are gonna, because you wanted a social media campaign to get a tsunami of earned media. Don't you love when you see that in a brief? We're like, peanut-free is not gonna create a tsunami of earned media because it's 2% of the conversation 2 years in a row. And unless we discover the new type of peanuts that have an allergy, nobody is gonna care about it. So what was the question was, give us a couple of days, give us 2-3 days, let us do more digging, and then we'll come to you. We started listening about Halloween and what people talk about and so on, and what we started discovering, which is obviously, again, a known fact, okay, and this is the deduction, narrow it, out of all the conversation about decorations and costumes and this thing and scary and safe and kids having to wear reflective things at night and, all sorts of conversations that parents share about it. There were two main themes that we started seeing. Dad is the Minister of Exterior, responsible for decorations outside. That is very competitive because when Joe the neighbor has a killer smoke machine, Dad feels bad about it. So Dad goes and gets a bigger smoke machine. Dad, you know what? Dad burns the car to have more smoke in his front lawn just to kick the neighbor's ass. So that was one theme. The second theme was Mom was the Minister of the Interior, responsible for the costumes. And it was a theme. It was a natural flowing theme. Moms got excited more about the costumes. Dad wanted the scariest graveyard. And they didn't want to take it off until February. Yeah, sounds familiar? So, but that was the theme. That was the main theme that we saw in it. And then we dug deeper in the conversation about parents and the way they spoke about it. It was like a chore, like it was a chore. It was something they had to do every year and take it up and take it down. And yes, it's fun and we love it and so on, but there's a lot of work involved in it. And you can feel like you've sucked the joy out of Halloween of parents because of how much work and how much competitive and so on it has become for the kids, which is good. They love it, but a lot of work, and it's not about them anymore. So then we find this tweet that was retweeted like 500 times, okay, about us, okay? When you listen, consumers tell you what you need to do, when you listen properly. So there was a dad who said, don't you love it when all the kids take all the Kit Kat, Smarties, and Aero and leave us those coffee crisps? Because kids, it's actually proven their least favorite taste is coffee crisp. Like you're giving kids coffee, are you kidding me? So this was his tweet, and the hashtag was Dad Tax. And people loved it. There was a guy who organically, literally spilled out how we find those small spaces of fun in Halloween between all the crazy work that we need to do to make it fun for the kids. So what we thought about was, you know what? This year, let's not make Halloween about the kids. Let's make it about the parents. Okay? So let's bring back the fun, the nostalgia of your favorite Halloween in an environment where you will either go to your box, dig up your box. When was the last time you scanned a picture? We've been living in digital pictures. We produce maybe 1% of the total digital pictures that we take. Thousands go in waste, in digital waste, because we no longer find fulfillment in printing out the pictures because they're on Facebook, they're published, they're done. Everybody saw them, I'm done. Okay? So, again, an insight. So how about we go and we get them to dig up this box, get those photos, scan one of your favorite old Halloween pics. Chances are you're still friends with some of those people. You're going to tag them, okay? And then so it's about the parents now. And the competitive part of it, so you guaranteed the emotional connection, it's about you now. We're going to celebrate you, not your kids, okay? Imagine a parent saying that, which they loved. Second insight is you're going to tag people because Halloween pictures are going to have you and Joe and Jessica and whatever back in the neighborhood days, and you have them friends on Facebook because you connected with them over the past 15 years on Facebook through school or alumni or whatever. So you're going to tag people, share them. And part number 3 is competitive. So the person who wins, okay, we're going to select 5, is going to win $2,500 worth of chocolate for the entire neighborhood. So even though they had the most amazing smoke machine and the biggest scary cat, blow up thing that freaks me out. I got everyone chocolate. Chocolate for the entire neighborhood was on me this year, which everybody's going to remember. So the prize was actually, we're going to get you chocolate for the entire neighborhood. And it's peanut free. We stuck the message because the client needs to be happy. So, you know, it took some time to send it to them. They got it. In 1 week, we got 3,000 submissions. 0 media spent. Based on their owned social media channel. Because we truly listened and we dug for that insight that was truly a human truth, something that was truly connected to a human truth. And we played around it in a way that made sense. So when we threw it back out, okay, people ate it up because they created it. It was driven out of them versus a brand saying, this is how you should think about my product. And I'm all about peanut free. So this is a great example, I think, of how, yes, we have been listening for a while, but have we really been listening? There's a famous in a can in a hat, if you saw it, where, yeah, I know the goldfish is speaking, but is it saying something? So listening, truly listening to what those insights are. And so that's the questionnaire, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more. And then we listen to those specific topics, and then we do something called a social SWOT, which is not a new invention. It's basically all these conversations that you felt had a very clear, resonating sentiment to them, negative or positive, but things that are from a consumer about the brand, and they're making a statement. I hate this, or I love this, okay? Or I wish this could happen. We simply bucket them into, and it's, by the way, it's a very interesting exercise, and it teaches you so much more about every brand you work with. And what's more important is, again, another rift, don't mind, it's all in the same thing. Every agency-client relationship that I've witnessed over the past 16 years in a number of continents has always been, we pitch them, they brief us, we pitch, it's very linear. Brief us, pitch us, they challenge it, we pitch again, change the